Black Nigerian women literature has always played a part in the formation of Nigeria as a nation. Nigeria is a part of Africa. It consists of lot of ethnic and language groups. Uh, in among them, the most important ethnic group is Igbo, Hausa, and um, Yoruba community. Nigerian women literature had also played a huge part in the analysis of nation building and also on the exploration of history through writing. Uh, Nigerian women writing started with the author called Flora Nwapa. She wrote the novel Efuru and Never Again and lot of other novels. And she was an inspiration to the upcoming literary Nigerian women authors. There are many authors who are still in Nigeria who has a huge literary tradition, but the fact that Nigeria's literary uh, enthusiasm is very limited has always been a trouble for these authors to publish their books. But Nigerian women diaspora has flourished and they have always uh, talked about how Nigeria stands apart from all the other nation in with the idea and concept of nationhood, women experiences, and also on the idea of writing and using of trope. Some of the few authors that I introduced today are Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Helen Oyemi, Sefiata Chika Onekwe, uh, Chikparanto Okela, and many others. So Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie has four books to her collection: The Half of a Yellow Sun, Purple Hibiscus, Americana, A Thing Around Your Neck, uh, and many others. And Safiata, I'll be discussing a book called A Bit of a Difference and Everything Good Will Come, Swallow, and a few others. Helen Oyemi has written a few books that is Boy, Snow and Bird, The Akara's Girl, and Gingerbread, White is for Witching, etc. And Chika Onikwe, The Black Sister Street, and night dancers has also holds an important part in the creation of a Nigerian community. And here, what we look is the idea that Nigerian literature and Nigerian womanhood has played a very important role in the idea that uh, they follow a different trajectory from the African authors. African authors or African literature is always stereotyped on the basis of one experience. That is the idea of slavery, the idea of forced migration, the idea of trauma, troublesome, and witching, witchhood, etc. While Nigerian literature also follows traditional idea of tradition, norms, witchery, etc., but they mainly focus on the idea of realism and the troubles of the society. What keeps Nigerian literature apart is that it talks about politics, economy, and also talks about other social evils that pester the society. There are a lot of market literature that was in place during the Nigerian era. Apart from the African literature, Nigerian literature or the Nigerian women writers talked more on the politics, about war, about the economy, the marketplace, because they themselves were much involved with the economy building and with the culture and politics of the state. And the value of a woman in society, in a Nigerian society, was considered very high uh, during the olden era, and the and those books follow the tradition. And a woman was not merely considered as a being who does not have a voice of her own. Efuru is a very important example of Nigerian women writing because Efuru has always showed how powerful a woman can be and what all the man has to do in order to acquire uh, a status in front of a woman. He has to give her parents enough money so that she would be given in hand for marriage. The way women take care of the family, how they go, they have a control over the business, how they control over the economy, and how they analyze the society they live, they control and understand how the society works. So, Nigerian women literature has always followed that trajectory. Buchi Enicheta, one of the precursors of the Nigerian women diaspora, has also marked her place in the society where she lives in. She was abused by her husband because she was into writing. She bore five kids and later she divorced her husband, took care of them, and handled a family of her own while she continued writing. And after that, Nigerian literature has traveled a lot and it is now considered as a living canon. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is one of the star-faced literary author of Nigerian women writing or Nigerian writer as a whole. Or she could be a star in the literary genre as such because she has control over her power, over her words. She has a particular stance. She breaks all the stereotypes of viewing Nigeria. Her politics of her body, especially her hair, marks a place for her in the authentic era of literature. Half of the Yellow Sun, another novel which she have written, has stood apart because it rewrites history. It rewrites the notion of this Biafran civil war and the suffering of the Nigerian Biafran woman or the Igbo culture. And Purple Hibiscus talks about the domestic violences, yet it also talks about the silent spaces and the violence that gets infested through a husband and how one retaliates. And Americana is another book which could be as something which advocates for strong feminism and also for rootedness and nation building. Then, if we trace, Nigeria is never about slavery. We can trace it from things fall apart. But before that, we can talk about one of the first African slave writing, um, where he talked about slavery, but he talks about improvement and different things. So I think Nigerian literature always followed that scope. If you look into uh, Achebe, Vol Soyinka, Adichie, then now Nigeria is slowly shifting towards uh, coming out of the closet. Books like Under the Udala Tree, Freshwater, all follows a different all gives a different angle to the story. Like the idea of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, where she advocates for about the danger of a single side story, where we stereotype the African on the basis of slavery, hunger, uh, a nation where they cannot fend for themselves. So here we Nigeria stands apart because they have a rich culture, a rich tradition, uh, a rich market, a rich source of literature, and an amazing zest for nationhood, and uh, all traditional concept and norms. So, Nigerian literature and Nigerian women writing must always be studied by keeping that Nigeria as a whole has a different region ideas and norms. So this shift is what is keeping them from coming into the light, because Nigeria is like an African country where slavery does not play a part, is never considered as a place where everyone is tortured or do not have an identity. Even though all the Nigerian women writing in the current scenario has called or has shown the plight of women, that women are facing in their country and in different other countries, gives us a clear impact and clear idea of how literary text is used as a medium for uh, for the the idea of a literary tradition, a literary canon. And also, if we look into the structure of the books, one of the very recent writers, Helen Oyemi, has played with a trope called magic realism. She brings in Nigerian witchhood and voodoo, etc., and uses it, combines it with magic realism. That is an amazing technique or trope in discussing the wide varieties of African wilderness, and also about Nigeria as a nation, where one must always focus on uh, like slavery and everything. She brings in a powerful trope to show about a powerful society, a powerful tradition that was existing on uh, the platform where she wrote. And most of her books, that is The White is for Witching, Boy Snow and Bird, The Icarus Girl, everything depicts this. Safi Atta is another powerful writer, where she has written about educated middle class Nigerians who goes from their own country to other country and comes back and then understand the culture. So there is always the two sides of a single coin, and that is also depicted in their story. And if you look into the story of Chika Unikwe, that is a typical different plight where Nigerian women are often abused and they are taken to different countries and forced to be in uh, doing sex work. And what happened in this uh, idea is that here when the plight of the woman are different, they undergo violence, they are forced to do the sex work, but they live a good life too. But it is quite ironical the way they live. And Nigeria is a different nation. It's filled with corruption, and it's always under the military rule, and they don't have much of a freedom, but their rich heritage always stands uh, in between their current nation identity of nationhood and the rich heritage they keep close to their heart. That is something that keeps Nigeria different from all the other writings from Africa. And if we look into the other part of Nigerian literature, that is actually under the Udala tree, where they talk about the Biafran War, a novel where coming out of two lesbian couples, how the one she loves and how the one mm her life is also under trouble, and the one whom she loves is also under trouble. So it's very hard for anybody to come out. Then Freshwater by Achieve MSZ also narrates a similar story. Tejukol's Open City is also one of the best Nigerian literary texts. Then uh, Then frogs, Oimbo came to Africa. The children of blood and